Brock Purdy bounced back. We all expected he would. He had the worst game of his career against the Ravens. You saw Washington coming up, and you thought, oop, get right game. And he didn't turn the ball over. That's the most important thing. By the end of the game, he was really playing with confidence that he didn't have in the second half against the Ravens. Spinning out of sacks, pointing at Brandon Ayuk, telling him where to go. He was in playmaker mode. I love that. And he set the franchise single season record for passing yards. Beat Jeff Garcia, who beat Steve Young, who beat Joe Montana. So he's now officially in the pantheon of great Niners, not great Niners quarterbacks, but prolific Niners quarterbacks. Brock Purdy, congratulations. We've watched a lot of mediocre quarterback play here the last 20, 25 years, and he's not mediocre. He's very good, but he's not the MVP. And that's okay. Lamar Jackson is the MVP of the league. Lamar Jackson's a top 3 quarterback. Brock Purdy's not quite a top 3 quarterback yet. What I think was interesting about this bounce back performance is that it was the opposite game plan of the one they had against the Ravens. The Ravens was a very aggressive game plan. We are going to pass against the number 1 pass defense in the league. Not sure why they wanted to do that. It was aggressive. It was arrogant. Arrogant is the word. And it backfired. So now the Niners could have doubled down. Kyle Shanahan likes to do that. No, it was the right game plan. We just didn't execute. We're going to do it again against Washington, which frankly has a terrible defense, and the Niners could have beaten them however they wanted to. But instead, Kyle Shanahan comes out with the opposite game plan, a conservative game plan, a run-first game plan. You could call it a Jimmy Garoppolo game plan in the sense that we've seen these play-calling sequences with Jimmy was the quarterback. Handoff, underhand, pop pass, screen, slant, check down, handoff, check down. It was a lot of that to start. In the first quarter, did it not feel like that's a Jimmy Garoppolo first quarter? And you know what? That's okay. It doesn't mean that Brock's Jimmy Garoppolo. It just means that he got a little over his skis last week. They put a little too much on his plate. And he not only struggled, but threw 4 interceptions and no touchdown passes. So treat him like Jimmy Garoppolo for a quarter. Really, they should have done this against the Ravens. Once he threw the first interception, Kyle should have started calling plays exactly how he called plays in the first quarter against Washington. Handoff, just basically give the ball to Christian McCaffrey one way or another. That settles down Brock Purdy, makes his job a lot easier, takes the weight of the world off his shoulders. And once the Niners, it didn't put the game away. It just got Brock Purdy in the flow of the game. At a certain point, what was it, 10-10? So leading with Christian McCaffrey didn't give the Niners this insurmountable lead. But it got Brock Purdy into the second quarter without throwing any picks. And then all of a sudden, he was confident, and he took it the rest of the way. McCaffrey didn't play after the second quarter. The Niners did all of this great stuff without McCaffrey. And that really should build Brock Purdy's confidence. But you didn't need to start the game with like 6 or 7 straight passes. And they didn't, because that's not who they are. They may want to be that team one day, but that's not who they are yet. They don't have to be that team. They have an MVP caliber running back. So it was a great bounce back performance for Brock Purdy. It was a great bounce back performance for Kyle Shanahan, who seemed to have a better feel for the psychology of his quarterback. Last week there was just too much pressure on him. Christmas, Monday Night Football, MVP coronation, too much. Put it all on him. This week, just a random game in Washington that's not being nationally televised. Just go manage the game for half. And then take it from there. That should be the way they treat Brock Purdy from now on. Maybe one day you come out passing, but I think he needs to earn that. Needs to show that he's ready for that on a given day. Because you don't want the 4-pick performance, the 4-pick snowball. Good for Brock for bouncing back. Is he a top 5 quarterback in the league? No. Top 10? Maybe. He's definitely better than Sam Howell. Really like the play where he spun around and then started pointing at Brandon Ayuk and threw the touchdown. That's a confident quarterback. You ever see Jimmy Garoppolo do that? I can't remember. I don't think so. So good for Brock. Sven, hold on. Tommy Huxley says, 1, Finn's frauds. We could have known. We knew that. 2, Beagle's frauds. Facts. That's true. Sven says, hey, Grant, curious why you don't travel to away games anymore. Always appreciated the post-game press conference questions. Also, Fernando for the W. I'm back. I won't miss any more. Saving some money this year, but I'll be there in the Super Bowl, and I'll be there next year. So, good question. Kenny757 says, just left the game. I wish they would stop playing with their food and close games earlier. A win is a win, but let's execute and get it done earlier, please. Yeah, the Niners didn't wake up until like the third quarter. Really. They did the bare minimum, still won, and don't have to do anything next week or the week after. You got to love that. Real OBJ CDT says, disagree with you giving special teams an A. Why? Bell. Did he fumble again? He had a 16-yard return, got smacked. Peasy, the producer, says, or they thought Baltimore was expecting them to run and Kyle tried to outsmart Harbaugh by passing. He just outsmarted himself in that case. But you know what? That game's over with. Dustin the Gale says, might actually be good that BP is out of the MVP race. That way Kyle does not feel obligated to play him next week. But since CMC can technically still win, and hopefully Kyle doesn't overdo it with him. Good point. Also, now that MVP stuff is over with, Kyle doesn't have to call these like ridiculous game plans to justify that hype. Just win the freaking game. Don't turn the ball. If you don't turn the ball over, you're going to win. Why are you inviting all these interceptions? Be a little more conservative. You have a great running back. Sean O'Leary says we have to keep in mind Purdy is a second-year quarterback. In a sense, mid-second season quarterback. It's true. If it was Lance setting the team passing record in 2023, we'd be ecstatic. Hey, I'm not rooting for this team, but you should be ecstatic. Brock Purdy is a great story, an excellent quarterback, and the best quarterback they've had since Jeff Garcia. Great story. Pally says, if we meet the Ravens again, do you think Kyle will learn from the Christmas game or will Banana Hands come back? I think he'll learn. I'll work with him, though. Quality control. Pally says, hold on. Keith Murphy, the unbeaten, says, GI Kyle had to use 25. CMC sit down till playoffs. Yeah, maybe. Flav says, has any other player won the MVP twice and failed to make a Super Bowl both times, or will Lamar be the first? Wouldn't be surprised if he loses his first game again. Still not good enough from the pocket. You tell me, Flav. I don't know. Thanks for the donation. Still not good enough from the pocket. I would disagree. I think he's good enough from the pocket. He's good enough from the pocket. And I think he's the best outside the pocket, which is why he's going to win his second MVP. He hasn't played a playoff game in a few years. We'll see what happens. Jeremy Price, 12 wins, baby. Pear, you called it, man. Good to see you. I was waiting for you. I was thinking about you this morning. Fish and Chip says, play calling without responsibility, Shanny offense. Are we blaming him for McCaffrey's injury? By Victor 1 says, Niners prefer Eagles or Cowboys. Eagles. Eagles are dead. Fish and Chip says, more ad-lib plays by players gets to a Super Bowl. You got to love those ad-lib Purdy plays. Keith Murphy, the unbeaten. Lamar, 5 TDs today. MVP talk is over. Over. Quinn Howard, here's 5 more toward that deposit. Represent us well. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I will. The Japanese Niners fan says Ravens are heads and shoulders above every team, I believe. However, Lamar is 1-3 in the playoffs and put up a stinker last time they had the number 1 seed. Hey, I feel like Niners got to be rooting for that because I don't think they want to see Lamar again. Matthew Sanders says good things happen when you throw to Ayuk. That is true.